You're watching The End Zone.
Welcome to another edition of The End Zone, along with Josh Callaway and Camryn Johnson. I am Colby Danials. We are 2 weeks away from week 0 of the college football season, 3 weeks until Oklahoma and Oklahoma State's season openers. I can't believe it's already this close. I mean, I was planning on having like a really good portion of the summer, some downtime, and I think the Thunder's late run
saw to that,
transitioning almost straight into college football season has negated that. But look, I will never complain about having college football to pay attention to.
No, I'm looking forward to it. It snuck up, like you said, so quickly. It feels like fall camp starts and then bang, it's 2 weeks and then here we are.
No, it's been great to get out on the practice field a little bit, get to see these teams a little bit. It's been nice, and we're getting close. A few weeks.
I mean, we're at watch list season, right? Like Thorpe Award watch list or Chuck Bednarik Award watch list.
Anything and everything.
We might have to come up with our own award watch list next week. And I don't know, we could be creative with what we want to do. But there's a watch list for everything, so we might as well like throw our hat in the ring.
Make it something fun, untraditional.
Yeah, there we go.
Had the coaches poll this week too.
All right,
we're starting to get people are getting mad about polls.
There are game lines that are matriculating out. So it's close enough that you can start to feel the football fever really grabbing hold of the sports fandom around the country, and especially in the state of Oklahoma. Let's talk some Oklahoma State, and we'll get to OU a little bit later in the show. But Oklahoma State had their media day last weekend. They are a couple weeks into fall camp, and there are so many question marks about the Cowboys in general with all the turnover. 3-9 a season ago. They went winless in Big 12 conference play, and it's the worst year in the Mike Gundy era since 2005 when he took over the job. This is a monster season for Oklahoma State. Camryn, you were at Media Day last week. What was the vibe that you got?
Yeah, it was like you said, so many people. They had all the players lined up around the room, and everyone would be like, who's that? And I'm like, I don't know, because there's so many new people there. But it was really cool to hear from them all. They all said that despite it, they're very confident and in all positions, because there's a question at every position, it feels like. But overall, more confident than you would think for a team that has hardly anyone returning.
They said all the right things, which that's good to hear. It's better than saying we suck.
Right.
We're not excited about what we might be. You're in big trouble if that ultimately happens. Their timeline is absolutely sped up in terms of just finding out what you have because of the fact that you go to Oregon in week number 2. And I don't think anybody expects them to win that game, but you also don't want to get just blown out of the universe in week 2 following the disastrous season they had last year. So that's a big matchup, and I'll be curious to see in the opener just kind of what they look like so we can better gauge what to expect when they go to Eugene. And a lot of that is predicated on the quarterback position, which I said back in the summer, there's no way that one of these guys will be named the quarterback like solely, right, going into the opener. They're going to play multiple guys. I mean, in the Gundy era, when there's been multiple guys that really have no experience, we've seen multiple guys play in the football season, and neither one of these guys has thrown a pass in their college football career. So it sounds like we're going to see both guys in the opener. Maybe we'll see both guys beyond that. But Mike Gundy talked about a timeline last Saturday in terms of naming a starting quarterback.
I can't put a timeline on it until I know when it will happen, and I don't know that. So Jabari will end up playing 2 in the first game. At some point, the team will start to migrate toward one guy. Doesn't mean the other guy's not a good player. It just means that the teams might subtly start migrating toward a guy, and they have to be productive.
Obviously, both of these guys are talented guys. They're very different, right? Flores is the more traditional type of quarterback, big arm, going to stretch the field. Haney is more dangerous with his legs. I think part of it probably just depends on what your offensive line looks like and, what the receiving core looks like, and I guess the strengths of the offense outside of just that guy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, there's a little bit of an advantage to that uncertainty in that players are getting to work with both of these styles ahead of time, as opposed to having your main guy go down with injury and then all of a sudden week 4 they're playing with a guy they haven't had the most experience with. So I think there's some good in that, but there's still more questions than answers, obviously.
Yeah, got to figure it out. Like I said, I mean, you go to Eugene in week 2, right? So you don't have a lot of time. You have an opener with some buffer there where you can probably play both guys. But I'm guessing you want someone to go take it before you go play Oregon the second game of the year. You know, Flores is probably the guy with more. I mean, he's the guy we've been hearing for years. He's been around the program, obviously. We'll see. I don't know. It's up to Mike Gundy to figure it out.
I don't know if that's an advantage, though, because there's been a complete coaching overhaul. Gundy's the only guy back, right? Every assistant was tossed out and brought in a whole new coaching staff, and at least Haney played for Meacham at TCU. Sure. So, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting situation and two very different guys, although their skill sets are pretty diverse. Here's Zane Flores on what he has seen with the quarterback battle and the team in general.
You know, it's been fun, I'd say. Just kind of going out there and competing and just trying to bring the best out of each other. So, yeah, I think I'm pretty even keel mentally. I think that's probably my strong suit, not getting too high, not getting too low. I like to throw the ball around, obviously, but I think I can run, too, use my legs when I need to. So, yeah, we're really deep at receiver. There's, probably 8 guys out there that are making plays every day. They're quick. They're catching the ball well, so, yeah.
There you go. That's probably, if I had to bet, that's the fan vote for the starting quarterback, because the OSU fan base has been asking to see Zane Flores on the football field for a couple seasons now. Haas Haney, probably they just don't know as much about, but we'll get an introduction to him in the opener. Here's Haas Haney, the TCU transfer, on the quarterback battle.
I mean, I'm focusing on my job and what I can do to be the best quarterback I can be, but at the same time, me and Zane are going to be supportive of each other, and we're friends off the field, obviously. We respect each other, and we know we're both really good players, so we're just here to do whatever we can to help this team win. You just got to take it day by day and, take it install by install and play by play. What can I do to, be the best quarterback I can be today on this play? And that's really what you got to keep it. You can't think about, what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen in this team period.
The real question is who takes the first snap in the first game, because if you're betting, the answer is both guys are going to play significant snaps.
I was just thinking, how many starts are both guys going to make this year? Over under 3.5 each, right? They're both going to get in there.
It could flip-flop the entire season. Who knows? I mean, Gundy has handled quarterback situations in almost every possible way throughout his tenure. All right, that is Josh Callaway and Camryn Johnson. I am Colby Danials. Let's talk OU practice. They opened the doors a couple times this week. We'll talk about John Mateer and that offense next. All right, well, Oklahoma State is going to play on a Thursday night 3 weeks from now. Oklahoma will play a traditional Saturday opener. Josh, you were at Sooner practice a couple times this week. What did you take away from where the Sooners are at this point in camp?
Yeah, you're continuing to progress. All eyes are on the offense, right? And can they find what they need at wide receiver? Running back a little beat up right now, but nothing too major. I know a lot of fans are freaking out. There's a lot of guys out from practice right now, especially after last season where it was just, carnage, right? But everybody's pretty minor. I think most of these guys that have been out will play in the opener. Vibes are high. I think we're getting to that point in fall camp. First scrimmage is this weekend for Oklahoma that I think they're getting antsy. They're getting antsy to start, hitting other people and getting ready for the opener. But still a lot of confidence right now, and offensively, it seems to be coming along pretty good with John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle.
Ton of confidence around, especially John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle. Jaden Ott brings another level of confidence, I think, for the fan base. The question is, what do the weapons in the passing game look like? Jaden Ott, I think, is going to be a part of that process, but John Mateer spoke about the weapons that he has throughout fall camp.
I mean, they're all real good. I look to this side of the field, I got somebody to go to. I look here, I look in front of me, I look beside me, it's everywhere. And it's pretty dangerous when you got weapons everywhere, and we all trust each other, and we're going to get to the point where we really, really trust each other. So.
Trust is obviously an important thing. They're going to have to develop that because that receiver room was obviously a giant strength, I think, going into the season last year. You look at the list on paper, you look at the list of players they had available, and you're thinking this is going to be one of the best receiver groups potentially in the SEC. And at the end of the year, you look at the receivers, and you're like, in terms of wide receiver production, probably the worst in the SEC last season. And a lot of that is obviously the injury bug that struck that room. But you go into the year with Deion Burks and Andrell Anthony and Nick Anderson and Jaden Gibson and the number of players in that 2024 class. And you think you're going to have a ton of production. And all those guys get hurt. And then in the offseason, Nick Anderson is at LSU. Andrell Anthony goes to Duke, Farouk to Maryland, Brennan Thompson to Mississippi State. Jaden Gibson was hurt all last year. It was. I mean, you understand why the quarterback struggled to a degree because of the receiver situation. 2025, it's a lot of unknowns, right? I mean, what are you looking for in terms of what the first, 3, 4, 5 guys look like on the depth chart?
Yeah, it got a total makeover. Like you said, you lost everyone, essentially, other than Deion Burks, who was out the majority of last year. We don't really know even what his full capability is because he didn't get to play a lot last year, the grind of an SEC season. But it's a lot of new names in here. Deion Burks is definitely back as your number one guy. That was a big win of the offseason to get him back, retain him for another year. He probably could have jumped to the NFL if he wanted, decided to come back another year. Javonte Gibson comes in. He broke his leg back in spring, but he seems to be on track to be ready early in the season, if not the very season opener. Just heaps of praise on him and what he can be. John Mateer absolutely loves him. Isaiah Satania from Arkansas, when they got him, I think the thought was, a nice backup slot for Burks. He's elevating beyond that. I would be not surprised at all if they kick him outside and he gets a chance to start. Keontez Lewis, Jermichael Carter, more portal additions that are having great camp so far, especially Keontez Lewis. He's really been making plays in camp. I know he's got John Mateer in this offense very fired up. So they have a lot of new guys. Yeah. It's a lot of fresh faces, a lot of guys out of the portal, and some freshmen as well. But you just need at least a handful of them to step up and deliver for you to have some targets for John Mateer.
I think when the portal class came together, Javonte Gibson was the guy that everybody thought was going to be the star of that group.
Yeah.
Satania and Lewis have obviously throughout camp started to generate a lot of buzz. You saw him at Arkansas covering the Razorbacks last year. I don't know what to expect from those guys, but the answer has to be production in some way, right?
Yeah, something I liked that John Mateer said earlier this week was even with those injuries out right now, guys coming back from injury, he says he would push the other guys just as much. They are stepping up right now, and everyone is ready to rise to the occasion, and he says he feels like full confidence in whoever takes the field, which is reassuring because with injuries you never know, and so it's good to know that on paper and in his mind that they're in good shape no matter what.
All right, let's talk running backs real quick because DeMarco Murray was running through running back drills earlier in the week, and I think some people were very amused by this. Who's OU's new running back? Surprised it's just a guy that was a stud in his time in Norman. But some people are worried about the overall health of that running back room. The fact that you only had 2 bodies to the point that DeMarco Murray had to go through practice yesterday. Is this a serious health concern?
Yeah, I think fan base was kind of split whenever they saw this. It was half the fan base was like, that's hilarious, that's all. The other half was, where are the other running backs? Why is there only 2?
Why is everyone hurt?
It was just Javonte Barnes and Torrey Blaylock yesterday. I wouldn't freak out. I think if they had a game this weekend, Jay Knott would be okay to go. Taylor Tatum would be okay to go. Maybe Nick Xavier Robinson as well. Like they're all right. The panic is warranted after last season. It's fair, but I wouldn't freak out too much just yet. But DeMarco Murray, he looks like he could still give you a $125 and a couple of scores if you needed to.
I mean, he may not be able to go 12 games, but he could get you a
$150,
I think, one Saturday throughout the season. I would also just add, because of what happened last year, they're probably being more cautious with some of these injuries than maybe rushing them back out there, which some people
same thing
projected.
with Deion Burks. People freaking out. Why isn't he practicing?
That's right.
Same thing. A game tomorrow, I bet he would play, but right now they're
no
trying to slow play.
No reason to rush him back and sustain injuries like they did all of last season.
100%.
All right, we're going to take a timeout. It is Moving the Chains next as we preview the college football season. All right, welcome back to the End Zone. It is time for Moving the Chains along with Josh Callaway and Camryn Johnson. I am Colby Danials. We're going to switch it up a little bit this week. As we inch closer to the start of the season, everybody's putting out college football lists like best of, top 5. So we're going to join the list party today. So let's start with this because I think this also has some local interest as well. Top 5 programs with the most to prove in 2025. Josh, what do you got?
Yeah, starting at 5. Let's keep it local. Oklahoma for sure. Not as much as some of these other teams in terms of like national title contender, but Venables on the hot seat this year. They need to win games. Huge year, obviously, for Oklahoma. Alabama, Kalen DeBoer. Last year was underwhelming. I think DeBoer is already feeling a little heat already in year 2. Clemson, Kate Klubnik back. We're talking about Clemson as maybe being ready to get to that next level again where they've been before competing for a national title. Texas, obviously, with Arch Manning, that whole insanity. Their Longhorn fan base is ready for Sark to get over that hump. And then I think Penn State, it's all set up for them. Drew Aller, some people think the best quarterback in the country. They've been waiting. They've been that team that's been right there trying to get over that hump.
Can't win the big game, right?
Exactly.
Right.
They're the definition of that. And so they have Aller. It seems to be all set up for them. The Big Ten feels kind of open at the top. Penn State, I think, #1 for me.
On paper, you can argue that Penn State is the most talented team in the country.
Yeah,
So
right.
I think that's absolutely warranted. What do you got, Camryn?
Okay, so I'm going the similar route. We had a couple of same ones in this kind of low-hanging fruit, but Oklahoma State, both of these coaches on the hot seat this year. I think Oklahoma, if you ask anyone, the Sooners have always been a blue blood team in the world of college football, but they have not played like it in a long time. So I think this is Brent Venables' year to prove you had your adjustment. Time to let it translate on the field. Mike Gundy, obvious reasons here in Oklahoma. Coming off worst year in his era. If it doesn't go well, you're flirting with the removal of one of the most legendary coaches here for that reason. But Alabama and Georgia kind of in the same boat here. Kalen DeVore, like you said, kind of like OU, honestly, has to get back to this blue blood program because Alabama was Alabama. They've not been so much in recent years, so obviously that's one to watch. Same with Georgia. Georgia is not in any worry of being poor this year, but I think this year is big to show if they can go from being a good team back to a great team. Missed out on the playoffs a couple of years ago and then lost last year as well. So just will be interesting to see if they can jump back up to that level. And then Florida State, I personally am interested in because 2 years ago you had a team that we felt got snubbed from the playoffs, depending who you ask. And you'd think that after that they'd be one of the best teams the next year, but no, one of the worst seasons.
Horrible.
Yeah, so
awful.
I'm interested to see how that plays out, see if, this year they can get back on track. And so
I just feel bad for Alabama fans. They haven't won a title in 5 years now. So it's
terrible.
What a tough stretch. And Georgia, I mean, right, 1 year off from winning a championship. And but they kind of took the crown from Alabama as the gold standard, I think, in college football. So bouncing back just to get into the playoffs, at least, I think is warranted on trying to prove something in 2025. I'm going to start my list with USC.
Okay.
Because I think Lincoln Riley makes that bold jump to USC, and I mean, you gotta come out and prove something. And they had the Heisman winner in year 1 with Caleb Williams. They've done virtually nothing with Lincoln Riley at the helm. In fact, I think the record is similar to what it was before Lincoln Riley got there. OU has had 2 losing seasons in the last 26 years, and they're both under Brent Venables in his 3 seasons in Norman. Gundy goes 3-9 last year, the first time they've missed a bowl since his first year in Stillwater in 2005. Brian Kelly, I mean, similar to like your James Franklin and Penn State situation, it's just like it's time for him to win the big one at LSU and LSU to take that next step under his reign. Yeah, I think so. I would put LSU in
same
there.
Same as Aller with Nussmeier.
And
you got the quarterback.
Really talented. Yeah. And look, I say Michigan as well. I think Michigan wins the title. They have Harbaugh. He goes away. They were 7-5 in the regular season last year in a Big Ten that I think is somewhat top-heavy. And they've got OU in week 2. So I think Michigan has a lot to prove in 2025 as well. All right, we're going to take another time out. We will wrap up the show with an Oklahoma Sooner social media splash. That's next here on the End Zone. All right, wrapping up the show as we get closer to the football season. I know everything is football, but I saw a post on social media earlier in the week that I had to share with you guys. I thought it was exceptional. Congratulations to the social media team at Oklahoma for what they did. But we all know the schedule release situation in the NFL and how it's become such a craze. Yeah. Well, the OU women's basketball team released their schedule, and I thought they did just an exceptional job.
I love the cowbell reference there.
It's tremendous. Shout out Josh Poteet, Women's Hoops, and that whole team. They do a great job marketing that program, Jenny Bronchick, and they crushed this.
I wish I could be that creative.
I'm sure you are. You just don't have time to be that creative.
Okay,
that's the thing.
I'll take
You're
it.
busy,
Thank you.
right?
Yeah.
You have things to do. You don't have time to just sit around and think what else can I do to jazz
I could
this
think
up?
of like Texas on McConaughey, but like some of these, they really.
The gator is fantastic.
Yeah.
And the dog just looking at it like, what? I mean, the elephant doing the helicopter with the trunk. I love this one. No.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
There's Rocky Top. There's
Dumb and Dumber is really, really well done.
Yeah, excellent.
For
Tennessee.
Excellently done.
Yep.
That's a fun program right now.
What would Oklahoma's be? If somebody else was putting one together and Oklahoma is on the schedule, what would Oklahoma's be?
I don't know. Maybe something with Jim Ross, Toby Keith, maybe.
Okay.
Find a way. You got to think of a meme, though. I don't know.
It's going to be a meme.
Yeah. I was close. I mean, there's some memes in there. What I said.
Yeah, depending on what the relationship is. Like if it's Texas, maybe they use the video of the Sooner schooner tipping over.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. That's the first thing that pops in my head. But
yeah, there are definitely options. But look, it's almost football season, and we are just inching closer to Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, the Cowboys on a Thursday night, the Sooners on a Saturday. I could deal with that every year. The first weekend of the season, having those two teams not play on the same day, to me, is just awesome way to start the season. All right, that is it for us. Along with Josh Callaway and Camryn Johnson, I am Colby Danials. More college football next week here on the End Zone.